Nobody had ever seen Keanu Reeves get angry. Not once. Not in 40 years. Through all of it, Keanu Reeves never raised his voice, never lashed out, never blamed anyone for anything. Until Joy Behar called his kindness a performance. She didn't do it directly. She wrapped it in a question the way predators always do. "Don't you think it's convenient," she asked, "that all your acts of kindness happen to get photographed?" The studio went silent. And for the first time in his entire public life, something shifted in Keanu Reeves' eyes. What happened next would be replayed over 80 million times because of the question he asked Joy Behar, a question so simple, so devastating, that she couldn't answer it. And then he stood up, removed his microphone, and walked off the stage without looking back. Joy Behar sat alone at that table for 45 seconds before anyone spoke. It felt like an hour. Subscribe right now, because you're about to watch the kindest man in Hollywood teach Joy Behar the difference between skepticism and cruelty. The View studio felt different that morning. Keanu Reeves didn't do talk shows anymore. At 61, he had transcended the promotional circuit. He was Keanu Reeves. That was promotion enough. When his team confirmed he'd appear to discuss Good Fortune and his Broadway debut in Waiting for Godot, the production staff had to add extra security just for the overflow crowd outside. He walked onto the set the way he always did, slightly awkward, genuinely humble, as if he couldn't quite believe anyone wanted to see him. The contrast with most celebrities was striking. No entourage, no demands, just Keanu, in a simple dark blazer and jeans, waving to the audience with that famous shy smile. "Keanu Reeves, everyone," Whoopi announced, and the applause was thunderous. He settled into the guest chair and immediately looked uncomfortable with the attention, which only made the audience love him more. That was the Keanu paradox. The less he tried to be charming, the more charming he became. "Thank you for having me," he said, that distinctive voice carrying its familiar gentle cadence. This is nice. Thank you." The first 15 minutes were vintage Keanu. He talked about Good Fortune, about working with Aziz Ansari, about the joy of returning to comedy after years of action films. He talked about Waiting for Godot on Broadway with Alex Winter, about how surreal it felt to share a stage with his oldest friend. He was thoughtful, self-deprecating, genuinely present in a way that most celebrities never managed. Joy Behar sat quietly through all of it, smiling, nodding, taking notes, waiting. It was Sarah who innocently opened the door. "Keanu, you've become this symbol of genuine kindness in Hollywood. People call you the internet's boyfriend, the nicest man in the industry. How does that feel?" Keanu laughed softly, clearly uncomfortable with the praise. "I don't know about all that," he said. "I just try to treat people the way I'd want to be treated. That's not special, that's just basic human decency, you know?" "But it is special," Sarah pressed gently, "because so few people actually do it." Keanu nodded slowly, his expression becoming more serious. "I think I've been through some things in my life that taught me how precious time is, how precious people are. When you lose people you love," he paused, and something flickered across his face. "You stop taking anything for granted. You try to be present. You try to be kind, because you never know which moment is the last one." The audience was completely silent, moved by his vulnerability. That's when Joy leaned forward. "Speaking of kindness, Keanu." The shift in her tone was subtle but unmistakable. The warmth evaporated. Something sharper took its place. "You've built this incredible reputation as Hollywood's nicest guy. The stories are everywhere, giving up your seat on the subway, sharing your Matrix salary with the crew, helping stranded motorists. It's all very impressive." She paused, letting the word impressive hang in the air with just a hint of sarcasm. "But don't you think it's a little convenient that all these acts of kindness seem to get photographed? That they always seem to end up online, going viral, building this image of Saint Keanu?" The studio went cold. The other hosts shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Whoopi's eyebrows rose slightly, a warning sign that regular viewers would recognize. Keanu's expression didn't change dramatically, but something behind his eyes shifted. A stillness settled over him, the kind of stillness that regular viewers had never seen before. The kind of stillness that made the air in the studio feel thicker somehow. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "Are you suggesting that my kindness is manufactured?" Joy straightened in her chair, clearly pleased with herself. "I'm just asking questions that some people might have. In an age of carefully managed celebrity images, isn't it fair to wonder whether all these heartwarming stories are spontaneous or strategic?" She leaned back, crossing her arms with the satisfaction of someone who believed they'd made an unanswerable point. "I mean, let's be honest here. You have a publicist. You have a team. You have people whose entire job is to manage your image. And somehow, mysteriously, all these beautiful moments of kindness just happen to get captured and shared with the world. It's quite the coincidence, don't you think?" The audience stirred uneasily. The other hosts exchanged nervous glances. Sarah looked like she wanted to intervene but couldn't find the words. "Strategic." Keanu repeated the words slowly, as if tasting something bitter. "You think helping a stranded family change a tire is a strategy?" "I think everything celebrities do is calculated," Joy replied, her confidence growing. "I've been in this business long enough to know that nothing is accidental. Every story, every photo, every candid moment, it's all part of the brand. And your brand, Keanu, is being the nice guy, the humble guy, the guy who's too good to be true." She smiled, and there was something almost triumphant in it. "So I'm just asking, is any of it real? Or is it all just very, very good marketing?" Keanu was quiet for a long moment. The silence stretched until it became uncomfortable. When he spoke, his voice was softer than before, but somehow it carried more weight than anything else that had been said that morning. "Can I tell you something, Joy?" She nodded, seemingly confident she had him on the defensive. The other hosts leaned forward slightly, sensing that something significant was about to happen. "In 1999, my girlfriend gave birth to our daughter. She was stillborn." He paused, and the silence in the studio was absolute. You could hear the hum of the lights overhead. "We named her Ava. I held her in my arms for hours. She never opened her eyes. She never took a breath. But she was perfect. She was beautiful. And she was gone before she ever got to live." Joy's confident expression faltered. Her smirk disappeared entirely. "2 years later, my girlfriend, the woman I loved, the mother of my daughter, died in a car accident. She was 30 years old." His voice remained steady, but there was a depth of pain in it that made everyone in the studio lean forward. Some audience members were already wiping their eyes. "I got a phone call in the middle of the night, and just like that, she was gone too. The two people I loved most in the world, gone within 2 years of each other." He paused, gathering himself. "Before that, my best friend River died in my arms outside a nightclub. He was 23 years old. I watched him take his last breath. I held him while the ambulance came, knowing it was already too late." He looked directly at Joy, and his eyes held something that made her visibly shrink back in her chair. "My sister Kim battled leukemia for years. I sat in hospital waiting rooms, praying she would survive. I watched her go through chemotherapy, watched her lose her hair, watched her fight for her life while I felt completely helpless." The studio was so quiet that even the slightest movement seemed amplified. "So when you ask me whether my kindness is strategic, whether treating people with basic human decency is some kind of brand management, I want you to understand something. I am kind because I know what loss feels like. I am gentle because I know how fragile life is. I try to help people because I know, in a way that most people will never understand, how quickly everything can be taken away. How one phone call, one moment, one heartbeat can change everything forever." "I wasn't trying to," Joy started. "Yes, you were." Keanu's voice cut through hers, still quiet, but now carrying an edge that silenced everything around it. "You were trying to expose something, You were trying to find the cynical explanation for why someone might actually be decent. Because in your world, Joy, nobody does anything without an angle. Nobody is kind without a motive. Nobody helps a stranger unless there's something in it for them. He stood up slowly, and the movement commanded every eye in the studio. There was nothing aggressive about it, just a quiet determination that somehow felt more powerful than any shouting could have been. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you helped a stranger without telling anyone about it? When was the last time you did something kind just because it was the right thing to do? Not for content, not for ratings, not to score points in some imaginary game you're playing with the universe. Joy opened her mouth to respond, but nothing came out. Her confident expression had crumbled entirely. I'll tell you when I stopped caring about what people thought of my kindness, Keanu continued. It was when I was holding my daughter's body. It was when I was standing at Jennifer's grave in the rain. It was when I was sitting in a hospital waiting room praying that my sister would survive another round of chemotherapy. It was when I realized that nothing matters except how we treat each other in the brief, fragile, precious time we have. He walked toward the panel desk, his movements slow and deliberate. The cameras followed him, capturing every moment of what was clearly becoming the most powerful television of the year. You want to know the truth about those photos? The ones that go viral? I don't take them. I don't post them. I don't even know they exist until someone shows me. People photograph me because they're surprised. They're surprised that a famous person would give up a seat, or help change a tire, or actually look someone in the eye when they talk to them. His voice grew stronger, but never louder. And that's the saddest part of all this, Joy. Not that you're cynical, you have a right to be cynical, but that you've created a world where kindness is so rare that it becomes newsworthy, where basic human decency is so unusual that people assume it must be fake. He paused, looking around the studio at the audience members who sat in stunned silence. Do you know what I think about when I give up my seat on the subway? I think about a woman who might be tired after a long day. I think about a person whose feet hurt, whose back aches, who's carrying burdens I can't see. I don't think about photos. I don't think about my image. I think about them. His voice softened slightly but lost none of its power. Do you know what I think about when I share money with crew members? I think about the grip who worked 18-hour days so I could look good on camera, the caterer who made sure everyone was fed, the driver who got me home safe. These people made my success possible. Why wouldn't I share it with them? He stopped directly in front of her. But you don't understand that, do you? Because in your world, every gesture has an angle. Every act of kindness is a transaction. Every moment of human connection is really just content creation in disguise. Joy's face had gone pale. Her hands trembled on the desk. I was just asking. You were attacking, Keanu said simply. You were taking the one thing I have left, the one thing I've tried to build from the wreckage of my life, and you were trying to tear it down. For what? A viral moment? A controversial clip? Another day of people talking about The View instead of something that actually matters? He shook his head slowly, and there was genuine sadness in his expression now. I've buried people I love. I've held a child who never breathed. I've watched friends die too young and wondered every single day why I was still here when they weren't. And through all of that, through decades of grief that would have destroyed most people, the only thing that made sense was being kind, helping people, treating everyone like they matter. Because they do. They all do. Every single person on this planet matters. He turned to address the audience, and his voice softened, but gained even more emotional power. To anyone watching who's ever been told that their kindness is weakness, that their compassion is naive, that caring about people is somehow foolish, I want you to know something. The cynics are wrong. Kindness is strength. It takes more courage to be gentle in a hard world than it does to be hard yourself. It takes more strength to help a stranger than it does to walk past them. It takes more bravery to love people knowing you might lose them than it does to close yourself off from everyone. He paused, and when he continued, his voice was barely above a whisper, but somehow it filled the entire studio. I've had every reason to become bitter, every reason to close myself off, every reason to decide that caring about people isn't worth the pain. But I made a different choice. I chose kindness. I chose connection. I chose to keep loving people even though I know, better than most, how much it hurts when they're gone. He turned back to Joy one final time, and there was no anger in his expression anymore, just a profound sadness. You wanted to know if my kindness is real? Here's your answer. It's the only real thing I have. It's what I've built from grief. It's what I've chosen instead of bitterness. It's the legacy of everyone I've lost. My daughter, my girlfriend, my best friend, all the people who left too soon and taught me that every moment matters. His voice strengthened one last time. And no one, not you, not anyone, gets to take that away from me. Not today, not ever. He removed his microphone with calm precision and set it gently on the desk. The small click of plastic against wood was the only sound in the studio. I think I'm done here. And then Keanu Reeves, the kindest man in Hollywood, the one who never lost his temper, the one who had survived more loss than most people could imagine, walked off the stage without looking back. His footsteps echoed in the silence. The studio doors closed behind him with a soft thud. The studio was frozen. Joy Behar sat alone at the panel desk, her face ashen, her hands still trembling. The other hosts sat in stunned silence, none of them quite able to process what they had just witnessed. The audience was silent, not the uncomfortable silence of embarrassment, but the profound silence of people who had just seen something they would never forget. 45 seconds passed before anyone spoke. It felt like an hour. Whoopi finally found her voice, but it was shaky, uncertain. I think we need to go to commercial. Sarah was wiping tears from her eyes. Sunny sat with her hand over her mouth. Even the camera operators seemed frozen, unsure whether to keep filming Joy's devastated expression or cut away. The screen went black, but in living rooms across America, no one changed the channel. No one even moved. They just sat there, processing what they had seen, the moment when Hollywood's gentlest soul had finally been pushed too far. And in that moment, they understood something profound, that kindness wasn't weakness, that gentleness wasn't naivety, that the quietest people sometimes had the most devastating truths to tell. The clip broke every record within hours. Keanu Reeves destroys Joy Behar trended worldwide, but that wasn't what people were talking about. They were talking about Ava, about Jennifer, about River, about a man who had carried more grief than most people could imagine, and somehow emerged from it not bitter, but kinder. But what resonated wasn't the confrontation. It was the glimpse behind the kindness, the grief that had shaped it, the loss that had forged it, the choice to be gentle when bitterness would have been so much easier. Alexandra Grant posted a single photo that evening. Keanu at home, smiling, surrounded by their dogs. No caption, none needed. Alex Winter wrote simply, 40 years of friendship. He's the same off-camera as on. The best person I know. The Matrix crew members who had received his salary shares began posting their own stories. College tuitions paid, medical bills covered, lives quietly changed by someone who never asked for credit. Joy Behar returned to The View 2 days later. She offered no apology, but those who knew her noticed something different. A hesitation before the provocative questions. A moment of consideration that hadn't been there before. And Keanu Reeves? He went back to his life. Another day with Alexandra, another motorcycle ride through the canyon. Another stranger helped, another kindness given, another quiet choice to be good in a world that made it so easy to be otherwise. Because that's who Keanu Reeves is. Not a brand, not an image, just a man who learned from loss that every moment matters and chose to spend his moments being kind. What did you think of this confrontation? Was Joy out of line, or was she asking fair questions? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more stories that will absolutely blow your mind.